Today we're going to talk about fixing art in the Genshin Impact community and how some Twitter artists are fixing new characters that were just announced, saying things like, "Looky here, we fixed your character and made them better by darkening the skin so you don't have to," because apparently there's a lack of black or dark skinned playable characters in Genshin Impact, and it's a big problem in the Genshin Impact fandom on Twitter. Also, shout out to Hero Hai. I originally watched his video talking about this and it inspired me to make this one. Cheers, brother. Now it brings me great discomfort saying this, but fixing art has low-key become a recurring theme with people within and outside of the art community on Twitter, and not just the Genshin Impact fandom. From people who started fixing art because they genuinely thought they were making an impact on the art community and standing up for justice against fatphobia, to people who just see an image they don't like and claim it doesn't fit with how they see the world through a morally accurate scope where representation is the only thing that matters when it comes to art, or even just creating characters and OCs. And since clearly they have nothing else to do with their time, they just take matters into their own hands and just fix any drawing that doesn't scream woke or isn't black enough. Hey, how's it going and welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is going to be covering the controversial characters in the Genshin Impact community, and I have heard about Genshin Impact but I just never have played the game at all, although I follow a lot of artists on Twitter that make fan art of some of the characters from the game and they all just look really nice. So anyways, go grab your favorite drink of choice, subscribe to the channel for all the new people watching. If you want to support the channel even further, you can become a member and join our small growing community, or you can just do both if you're feeling lucky. Yes, I want you to do both. I want you to subscribe and I want you to join the channel and become a member.
Yes, join the channel and become a member. Thank you very much right now.
So some weeks ago, HoYoverse announced a new character for their game Genshin Impact. For anyone who has never heard of Genshin Impact and has no idea what it is, Genshin Impact is an open world RPG game published by MiHoYo, which recently rebranded itself to HoYoverse. The game is set in a fantasy world called Tevat, and players can choose between multiple characters to explore, earn rewards for completing tasks, level up their character, find treasures, and battle it out with mini bosses at different points in the game. The game has 7 nations which are supposedly based off of real countries, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. So for any of you who play the game or just know more about the lore of the game, please do us a favor and explain it to us in the comments in detail if I make any mistake in the video. So apparently they posted a new character on their Twitter, which is what they do for their characters whenever they make a new set of playable characters for a new update. They just announce it on Twitter and share the design of the characters right there on Twitter, so fans of the game can just get hyped and excited to play as these new characters in the game. And from everything I have noticed, the game actually has a really huge fan base and a very active community on Twitter, Discord, and literally every other social media platform. And as usual, after they announced the new characters, a lot of fans were excited about this announcement and couldn't wait to play as the characters. Others were just excited about how the art looked and complimented the characters, the costumes, and just talked about how good the art has always been. But after scrolling through a lot of the comments, a common complaint I kept seeing was, "But why is she so pale? Why can't we never have darker toned characters?" And this is literally what we receive when waiting for our representation. Genshin should pay more attention to where each character spends most time in. If it's in deserts, then it makes most sense for the characters to be tanner. I hope that Genshin creates more of a variety when it comes to skin tones and pay more attention to their environment. So quite a number of people were calling out the creators of Genshin Impact for neglecting darker skinned characters and mostly having all their characters predominantly light skinned or pale. And apparently their major gripe is the character is supposed to be part of the Sumeru nation, which according to the lore, their design is based off of the Middle East and some parts of South Asian culture with some influences from ancient Egypt, India, Persia, and Mesopotamia. Now these were mostly speculations and were never truly confirmed by the developers of the game, but usually in games, movies, cartoons, and anime, you can immediately tell what culture a character or location is based off of just by looking at their clothing, tribal markings, food, and even the buildings and architecture in the area. So the speculations might be actually true, which is why the people leaving comments on Twitter were calling them out for not representing people who came from the Middle East and instead interpreting their skin tones as lighter and making most of the characters light-skinned or pale, which you see is a big problem for our Twitter heroes fighting for diversity from an Asian video game developer. Genshin poorly represents their own people. Every Asian-inspired character in the game, with the exception of Xinjiang and probably Kea, are pale AF. There's a growing roster of only 2 with color on them, so I wasn't surprised that the new Sumeru characters are pale too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently Middle East people range from different skin tones, from white, black, and anything in between. I think it really depends on where in the Middle East someone lives. Now this is an interestingly accurate point and counter arguments for everyone in the comments that were just arguing about how pale the characters looked. Middle Eastern people are not all just dark skinned or black, just like the majority of people you'll find in different parts of Africa. Yes, they might be fairly tanned and sometimes dark skinned, but there are still light skinned and fairer Middle Eastern people, and this shouldn't even be used or thought about as an excuse for the studio's lack of diversity in their characters, but just common sense being used commonly in a pretty common situation. And so some people just decided to fix the characters since the studio wasn't really doing anything about the lack of diversity in their characters, and the fixes are just, let me show you. So let's just take a look at this image and admire how insanely bad the skin looks. I can't even explain why the skin just looks so bad. It's probably the shade of brown they used, which just doesn't fit well with the rest of the colors in the palette and just makes the skin of the character just stand out from everything else in the entire image. And this just keeps happening when people take an already finished work from a different artist and then edit it, trying to make it fit what they presume the character should look like, and then call it fixed. I just don't understand why people always fall into the trap of thinking they're helping anybody when they make edits like these and then call them fixes to already existing characters, totally disregarding the efforts of the original artists who spent so much time and effort making art for the entire team of developers that are making these games we all love and enjoy playing. And I'm sure in their mind they felt they were doing something major and changing the course of the world with their edit, but in all honesty it just looks lame and insulting to the makers of the game and the people you think you're standing up for. Most people in the comments just responded to the image stating how distasteful it was and calling it whitewashing. This is crap. Say what you want, but don't go around changing someone's skin tone and art all because you don't like it. My god, she doesn't even look good as a black person. I like the original dark-skinned character so much better than this edit. My god, she looks like she was put in an oven at 350 degrees for 2.5 hours. Damn, chill. It's just how they designed it. The game is not even finished yet, so there might be more dark-skinned characters in the future. And then probably the most disturbing comments I read under this post, even Twitter marked this as sensitive because, boy, I'm just going to put it on screen so you can read it yourselves.
I beg your pardon?
Why? What even is this? This is what just keeps happening when people keep on fixing art and making edits of other people's work, trying to force diversity without really understanding the context of the situation and respecting other people's work. If you really want to make characters darker skinned, you can just make your own OC. It's not even that hard. That way we won't have people like this that are claiming black people are ugly just because a particular drawing looks awful and the skin tone doesn't fit perfectly with the rest of the image. Imagine saying black people are ugly when we literally have people like this, and this living amongst us and making videos on YouTube. As much as most people had problems with the character's skin tones, some people were just arguing about the costume, saying it wasn't representative of Arabian culture and claiming it was another form of stereotyping, which I don't agree with at all. I wouldn't say that, since it is a stereotypical Arab outfit that doesn't properly represent culture and, from what I know, mixes cultures. It does look cute, I guess, but I'm not sure it's as cool as it looks. Now, I'm sure most people who watch movies or anime or just play video games in general have probably heard about referencing and just taking inspiration from multiple sources of different things and cultures that already exist to create your own version, which is kind of the whole point of art and how art is created. So I'm really curious how this person thought the artists were going to create the game. Did they want them to just make their own version of an Arabian costume without taking inspiration from something that already exists? Or did they want them to literally just tie turbans and have long beards? Because then that will be stereotyping. And trust Twitter, everyone just started trolling and clowning the person who made the tweet and even responded to them saying, "It's a fictional world. MiHoYo takes inspiration from other cultures. Yes, it's a nice feature and it's hard to keep spewing original things. Sumeru can have its own culture." And they literally just complimented a cute looking outfit. And it's actually pretty funny because all the people in the comments who were either Middle Eastern or had relatives who were from the Middle East, most of them had no issues with the characters at all. I'm sure some of the people who were claiming they wanted representation for Middle Eastern people were probably not even Middle Eastern people in the first place. It's always funny how whenever there's an issue of fixing art or anything like that, it's always the people who are not directly affected by it that always have the most to say about it. Even when the people who are affected say it's okay and they're cool with whatever it is, the people who have nothing to do with it literally just claim, "Oh my god, this is whitewashing," or "Oh my god, this is so bad, you should represent people of color." I am from the Middle East and I can tell you, we don't care about skin color. The look of a video game character doesn't disrespect us or concern us. The character looks good and that's what matters the most. All the people under this who are saying, "Oh, it's just a game, it doesn't matter if all the characters are white," are completely missing the point of people who are upset. People are upset because when a group of people aren't being represented, it's like they don't exist. Well, to be honest, they have a point. And I understand why most people think these characters are problematic, since almost the entire roster of characters are mostly light-skinned, and since the theme of the Sumeru characters is based off of Arabian culture, of course they'll want to see some brown-skinned people in there, since there are almost no brown-skinned characters in the game. But then taking already announced finished characters and then fixing them and claiming your version is better is just not the way to go about it. Even though you post your fixed version with dark skin characters on Twitter or whatever social media platform, the developers are still not going to take that fixed version and put it back in the game because they already have their own work that they're following. In most cases, they might not even see your work at all. They might not even hear of you at all. You can't expect them to take your little edits on Twitter into consideration and just put that in the full game. It's sad that this game has such a big community filled with amazing artists and just entertaining people, but things like this will probably keep on happening over and over again. And I feel like people should just play the game and enjoy it for what it is. The characters are all pretty the way they are, and they don't need to be fixed or have their race changed or swapped because the skin tones are not dark enough. Now, I'm not saying the developers should not consider including some dark-skinned playable characters later on, but for now, let everyone just be thoughtful about it and just keep on playing and enjoying the game and making beautiful fan art of the already existing characters they have. Not everything needs to be fixed with forced representation and diversity that is not even properly thought out or explained and made to work with a solid story. Let's all just listen to this Twitter user who's smart enough to know that changing the color of skin is an unnecessary act. All the characters in the game are perfect as they are, and we shouldn't change their race to appease others or ourselves. And I couldn't even say it any better myself. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, share this video with a friend who plays Genshin Impact, or just anyone who just enjoys Genshin Impact or is part of the community and has a lot to talk about, because I want to see and read all your comments about this issue in Genshin Impact, or just anything you have to say about Genshin Impact in the comments. And also, for the new people watching, please subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter at Mohammed Agbadi. I guess I'll see all you pretty penguins in the next video. Peace.